What's up, guys? Justin here with our garage sale pickups from this last weekend, and I honestly did not anticipate it to be a very good weekend at all, so I actually did not bring the camera out with us, and I'm kind of regretting it now because even though we only went to like 10 or 12 sales for the whole weekend, it actually ended up being a pretty good weekend. I got a ton of stuff to show you guys, so I'm going to get right into it here. The very first sale we stopped at on Friday was one that had advertised games. I didn't say video games, it just said games, but we walked up there, and the first two things we saw were these. We got a complete in-box Super Mario Advance, obviously for the Game Boy Advance. Now it is the Player's Choice version, but the box is in really, really nice shape, and everything's in there, the manual, the game, and the inserts and everything. So that was cool. And they also had this one there, Sonic Advance 3. Now unfortunately this one is missing the manual, I believe, but once again the box is in pretty nice shape, so those were cool to see. And I thought that was all that was going to be there, but my cousin taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, there's an N64 lot over here. So I walked to the other side of the garage, and I saw this. And it looked like a pretty good N64 lot. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see, but GoldenEye 007 is in the system, and it had like 3 controllers and a few other games with it. So I started looking through that, and before I could even ask the lady how much she was selling it for, she told me she wanted $50 for it. And I was just kind of like, the box is probably worth more than $50, but that was almost all the money I had on me at the time. I didn't really want to spend it all at our first sale. And she had some Xbox 360 stuff as well. She had a couple games, like Left 4 Dead and one other one. And she didn't have a system, but for some reason she had a controller and a power adapter and an AV cord. And I asked her if I threw these in and I threw the Xbox stuff in, if I could get all the video game stuff for $50. And she told me she was looking for like an additional $40 just for the Xbox stuff. So that was a pass on that. But I did get her to throw these 2 games in anyway for the $50. I really wasn't going to pass up the lot. I'll show you guys what was in this box. Like I said, we got 3 controllers here, a black one, a gray one, and an atomic purple one. And all the joysticks are just very slightly used. I'm sure they'll all work perfectly fine. Both the cords for the system were in there as well. And again, there was GoldenEye 007 in the system. The other games in here were Nightmare Creatures, Perfect Dark. The other winner of the lot was Resident Evil 2. And then finally we got Star Wars Rogue Squadron. And then here's the system here. It's just a black system, but it does actually have the expansion pack in there, which was awesome. So for $50 for the N64 lot and those 2 Game Boy games, I thought it was a pretty good deal. Didn't really have much money left in my pocket, but there was only like 4 sales going on Friday morning. So the next one we went to was one that had actually advertised video games. And when we pulled up there, I recognized it as a sale we had went to last year. I actually picked up a couple games from there last year. I think we got like a couple Silent Hill games for the PS2, and I just find it really funny how I can remember like specific titles that we bought from specific sales last year. But anyway, this time they had some more video games out. I'm sure it was just most of the scraps from that they didn't sell last year, but I did end up picking up 3 of them. They were selling for $3 a piece, and I really couldn't haggle the prices because the lady that was there was not the one who owned the games. It was like a multi-family thing. So these are the only 3 I felt were worth paying $3 for, but we got BioShock for the 360, and all these are complete, and I made sure to check to make sure they're in at least decent condition anyway. Also picked up Star Wars Battlefront for the PS2. And really the only reason I bought this one is because I have like 3 or 4 other copies of Star Wars Battlefront 2, Greatest Hits for the PS2, and I figured it'd just be easier to do something with a pair of them as opposed to just one of them. And then the last one I got is actually a GameCube game, Tony Hawk's Underground. I don't think they had any other GameCube games there. I probably would have bought them, but $3 for that I thought was a decent deal anyway. So $9 for those 3 games. And that was all we found for Friday. We just stopped at like 2 more sales after that. Like I said, there really wasn't a whole lot going on. But it was a decent day for only stopping at 4 sales. So moving on to Saturday. Now Saturday actually started out really, really well. There was a house that's like 2 streets over from here that was having a sale that had advertised games, and it was starting right early at 8 a.m. So we got there, we walked up there, and the first thing I saw was this PS2 system here. Just a PS2 fat system, and it actually has the network adapter on the back of it there, and it didn't have a price on it or anything, so I just kind of picked it up and I made my way to the back of this guy's garage, and he had a bookshelf that had a bunch of DVDs on it, but mixed in was a bunch of random games for various systems. And so I started looking through those, and the guy saw that I had the PS2 in my hand and told me, he's like, hey, I got 2 more of those. And he brings out this like plastic container, opens it up, and there's 2 more PlayStation 2s sitting on top of it. So here's another black PS2 fat system here, and once again has the network adapter, so I don't know what this guy was doing with these network adapters. And then this last system he had, I couldn't believe it when I saw it, but check this out. He clearly did some kind of shell mod on this. I'm assuming he just purchased this acrylic purple shell, and I think it looks really cool, honestly. It's a little bit scratched up on the top, which is a little bit unfortunate, but what's really cool is it's actually like, it's a top-loading system now. I don't know if, I'm sure the disk drive still comes out and everything, but I thought that was really cool. And the bottom of it is actually still black, and this front piece here is still black, but he actually gave me, I don't know, I'm not really going to take them out, but in this box is the rest of the pieces. You can probably hear him rattling around in there. The rest of the pieces to complete this modification. So I don't know why he just put the purple top on and then stopped or whatever, but I think I'm definitely going to finish this up. I think it'd be really cool to have a completely purple system. And this is something, you know, even though I'm not a huge PS2 guy, this is definitely something I'm considering keeping because this would just look awesome over on my shelf. So he had that, and like I said, he had a bunch of random games for various systems. Ended up with a big box of them here. I'll show you guys what we got in here. There's a bunch of random stuff in here. We got the iToy for the PS2 there. This wireless controller here, Logitech. I don't think it has a receiver though, unfortunately. We got another black PS2 controller. This third-party PS2 controller. And one power cord anyway. There was no AV cords or any other cords for the system, but that wasn't a big deal. And then here's I think the manuals, some of the manuals for one of the systems anyway. And then I got a bunch of games in here. I'll start out with the, might as well start out with the PS2 games. Now, a lot of these cases are empty, which was kind of unfortunate, but obviously, I mean, the guy knew that they were empty, and I let him know, so I didn't, like, pay, you know, and thinking they were, like, had games in them, and they didn't, but I'll show you guys what we got. An empty case and manual for The Hobbit. We got the Bible game. I think this one has a disc in it. Yeah, this one is actually complete. Kind of curious maybe to try this one out and just see what it is. We got case for Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. No manual, no disc. Greatest Hits Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. I believe this one has the disc in it. Yeah, this one is complete. Most of these are pretty scratched up though, to be honest. I'll check this one out. I mean, this one's not too bad, but some of these are pretty bad. We got Lumens? I think it's just like a puzzle game. But that one is complete as well. We got Catwoman. This one, no manual, but it does have the disc in there. Greatest Hits Spider-Man. Sounds like the disc is in this one too. Yep, complete. Guitar Hero 2. I think he actually had the guitar there for this, but honestly, I didn't even want the guitar. I've got so many damn guitars for the Guitar Hero sitting in a box, like in my storage area under my stairs. We got Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup. This one, yeah, this one doesn't have the disc in it, just the case and manual. And then I believe that was all for the PS2 games. There was one original Xbox game he had, Cold War. I don't even know if it has the disc. No, no disc. It's just the case and manual. And then he had disc only. I don't know if this might have came out of one of the systems, honestly, but it's scratched to hell. Lego Star Wars. And then I'll move on to these GameCube games that he had. And again, unfortunately, some of these cases were empty. This first one is Mario Kart Double Dash. Now, this one didn't have the Mario Kart disc in it, but it did have the disc for Zelda 4 Swords in there. So, I mean, obviously would have liked it to have the Mario Kart disc, but I'll take Zelda too, even though I think it is a little bit scratched up. Find some place to resurface this anyway. We got SSX on Tour. I'm not sure if the disc is in this one. Oh, yep, yes it is. The top of the disc looks more scratched up than the bottom. Oh, this one is brutal. I don't know if you can see that. I doubt this one will ever play again. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. That one is complete. We got Metroid Prime. I don't know if this one has a disc. Oh yeah, it does. Actually found the disc like somewhere else on his bookshelf. It wasn't even in the case, but I threw it in the case. We got All-Star Baseball 2002 with Derek Jeter on the cover. That one's complete. We got Disney's Cars, and I think, yeah, that one has a disc, no manual though. I've never seen this game before. I don't know, oh, it is in there. Rugrats Royal Ransom. This one looks like it was like a Blockbuster rental or something, but it has a disc in there, no manual. And then finally, Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. And no manual on that one either, but the disc is in there. And then he had one PlayStation 1 game, which was Crash Bandicoot Warped, which was pretty cool. I'm not sure if I needed this one for my collection or not, but actually this disc was in pretty nice shape compared to the other ones. So, and then he had this blank case for the DS, which looking through it, I could tell you was Mario Kart, but there's no game in there. But I was right about the Mario Kart. So if I find like a loose copy, I'll throw it in there or something. We got this manual for, oh, this is a network adapter manual. And then there was a couple loose DS games and a couple loose Game Boy Advance games. We got Popeye, Rush for Spinach, Pokemon Emerald, which I was very excited to see. And I didn't even see this one until I got home. I saw this case, this like Mad Catz game case. I didn't even look inside of it until I got home, but it ended up being Pokemon Fire Red, which was very cool. And then just a few loose DS games. We got Brain Age 2. This one is Professor Layton and Diabolical Box, I believe. And then finally we got Professor Layton and the Curious Village. So I basically just bundled all that stuff together. I asked him how much he wanted for all the video game stuff. He did actually have a PSP system. It was a PSP 1000 with like 7 loose games that he was asking $100 for. So I passed on that, but none of this stuff was priced. So I asked him how much he wanted for all the video game stuff. He told me $100, which, I mean, I honestly didn't even have that much money on me. I had like a 50, a 10, and a bunch of ones. So I took out the 50, the 10. I told him, I'm like, look, I was like, $60 is pretty close to clearing me out. And he was like, all right, take it for $60. So I got all that for $60, which I thought was an amazing, amazing deal and an excellent way to start the day. So let me get some of this stuff out of the way here, and we'll move on to the next sale we went to. Now, the next one we went to was one that had advertised a Wii. And we got there even before they even started setting up. They were putting like their tarp out when we got there. So we gave them like 10 or 15 minutes. And then we walked up there. And I asked if they had any video games. And the lady told me that they didn't have any games, but they had a Wii system in their house. And for some reason, her husband just did not want to sell the Wii system. I think they had probably bought it and hooked it up and played it, you know, maybe 3 times. And that was it. So he didn't want to sell it and lose out on whatever. But I asked the lady, you know, how much she would have been asking for it, because, like, I mean, if she would have said like $100, it was obvious, it was just an obvious pass. But she told me she was only looking to get $50 for it, and that it still had the box and everything with it. So I was like, okay, well, if it's something you're willing to sell, I'm definitely willing to take a look at it. So she makes her husband, who just does not want to sell this Wii system, makes him go in the house. It wasn't even like packed up or anything; it was still plugged into their TV. Makes him unplug it, and the guy comes out with like a laundry basket full of Wii stuff. And I'll show you guys what I ended up paying the $50 for it. I wasn't going to haggle it because it actually ended up being a sweet, sweet deal. Here's the Wii system that I got here. This is just a box. I've already taken everything out so I can show it to you guys. But it's just the one that came with the Wii Sports. I think I probably already have this system box. But the main reason I wanted the box is because it actually came with the insert for it, which is right here, and all the stuff that goes in it is in here as well. But the box I have doesn't have this insert, so everything's just kind of loose in the box. But yeah, I mean, everything's in there. It actually came with another controller. There was an extra controller that came with it, and I mean, here's the stand and everything, and all the manuals and crap are in here. But yeah, I mean, everything's in here. I mean, you can tell the system was hardly ever used, probably just a few times. But the best part of the deal was when I saw the guy walk out with this as well, the Wii Fit Plus, and I mean, this is literally brand new in the box. I mean, I'm sure it's been opened and everything, but everything is in here and in excellent, excellent condition. And I mean, I'm pretty sure this board still goes for a good chunk of change with the game and everything. So I'm thinking I should get my money back, the $50 back, just for this easily, and end up with a free boxed Wii. So no complaints there. Very happy that I, you know, asked her to go get it because, like I said, the husband didn't want to sell it, but he was after all was said and done, he seemed okay with it anyway. But moving on from there. We only stopped at probably 5 more sales after that, I believe. And at one of them, we walked up there and they had a DS Lite for sale. I think it was a DS Lite. I honestly couldn't tell you because it had some stupid like skin that they had put on it, and the screen was all flopping around and everything. And they're asking $65 for it, so it was an obvious pass. And they had some games that they were selling separately for $5 a piece, and they were all just cheap third-party titles. But they did have like one loose game that I ended up picking up. I asked her if I could get it for a couple dollars cheaper because it didn't have the case and everything, and she sold it to me for $3. Dragon Quest: Sentinels of the Starry Skies. You know, I saw Square Enix, I saw Dragon Quest, and figured, you know, hell, you can't go wrong for $3 with this. So I picked that up. And then we stopped at another sale, and they didn't have much, but they did have a stack of PS2 games here for 50 cents a piece. And these are all in amazing condition for a garage sale. So props to whoever owned these games because they kept them in beautiful condition. And for 50 cents a piece, I got some decent titles in here. Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. And this one's cool because it actually has a couple different discs in there. This looks like a soundtrack or something. This is probably the coolest one though. We got Contra Shattered Soldier. Once again, in very, very nice condition. I've never even seen this game before, but it looks pretty cool. We picked up GTA 3, complete. And finally we got Call of Duty Finest Hour, complete. Yeah, 50 cents a piece on those, can't go wrong. $2 for that stack there. Very happy with that. And then at the very, very last sale we stopped at for the day, I ended up picking up one game. Now this is actually kind of a funny story because the sale was in a neighborhood that I can recall going to a neighborhood sale there last year. There was like 10 or 12 sales going on in the subdivision. And I remember being really frustrated because the only video game related anything we found last year was one Game Boy game. It was Nemesis for the original Game Boy. And it was priced at $1, and for whatever reason at the time I just didn't want to pay $1 for it. I probably just had like 50 cents in my pocket or didn't want to break like a 10 or a 20 or whatever. So I offered them 50 cents for it, and they told me, they're like, no, if it's still here at the end of the day, you can have it for 50 cents. And obviously I wasn't going to drive back to a sale to pick up a 50-cent Game Boy game. But I was when we got to the sale, we were walking up to it, I was telling my cousin that story, and I realized we were walking up to the same house that I was explaining to him in the story. I recognized it. I was like, this is the house that would not sell me that damn Game Boy game for 50 cents. And so I'm telling my cousin the story, we walk up there, I didn't see any gaming stuff. My cousin taps me on the shoulder and is like, hey, was this that Game Boy game you were talking about? And sure enough, Nemesis for the original Game Boy. Exact same game they had last year, exact same price tag for $1 and everything. And after all that, I had to pay $1 for it. I had to pick it up. So that was, I mean, I had no problem paying $1 for it anyway, this time around. So I thought that was kind of a funny story. Like I said, I'm amazed that I can, amazed at myself that I can actually recall like specific titles that we saw at specific garage sales, like from last year or even like 2 years ago. But anyway, that was the last sale we stopped at, last pickup for the day right here. So overall, it was an excellent weekend. Like I said, there was only like probably 10 sales that we stopped at all weekend, but we made out pretty damn well, I would say. So I want to thank you guys for sticking around and checking out the video, and until next time, take it easy.